I finally have a video where I can wear this shirt. But it just doesn't seem to pop enough. Hold on. There we go. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today our movie in the middle is Wicked. Wicked is the film adaptation of the high-flying stage production telling the story of Elphaba in the land of Oz, and how she came to possess her title as the Wicked Witch of the West. It stars Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Peter Dinklage, Michelle Yeoh, and Jeff Goldblum. So this has been my long-awaited #1 movie for the rest of the year since maybe about a couple months ago. I saw that trailer again and I went, you know what? This is the one I'm most excited for through the end of the year. Now, I remember actually going to see Wicked at the Hippodrome when I was, I don't know, like 15, maybe 16. And it wasn't my first experience at theater by far, but it was my first experience to incredibly awesome theater. When we saw Defying Gravity for the first time, it was me and my family. My dad couldn't stop talking about it. My dad does not go to theater. My dad doesn't care about musicals, and he was blown away. So obviously this became one of my favorite musicals. It became one of my favorite musical soundtracks. Defying Gravity is, as most people would say, probably one of the best musical songs ever written. But before I get into the actual movie, I think what's really funny is also the marketing for this movie. I have not in a long time, maybe since Barbie of last year, seen this much amount of marketing for a single movie. They were everywhere. I don't even want to know what this budget was because it was in everything. Although admittedly there were a few odd moments in the marketing that I'm surprised didn't taint its success as much as I thought it would.
I've seen this week people are taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and really holding space with that.
I didn't know that that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was happening.
But it's funny too, because while I did just mention Barbie earlier, I think the whole Barbenheimer thing is now going to become an annual thing. Everyone's going to try to find that one weekend where a really fun, lighthearted movie and a really dark or very manly movie comes out, and they're going to put them together. So, whereas last year we had Barbenheimer, this year we have Glicked. That one doesn't work as well. But it was still fun because we have Gladiator and we have Wicked, and I have to say that actually works pretty well in terms of that kind of vibe. I will be sharing my thoughts on Gladiator in a short upcoming, but let's talk about Wicked. Let's start with probably the most obvious thing coming out of the trailer, the production design, the visuals, everything technically about this movie is incredible. The visuals, the cinematography, the color, it's just so vibrant, it's fun, it draws you into this world. The camera work in so much of this movie is just so much fun and insanely well done. And the production design and the costume design, I keep coming back to this because it's just so much fun. They did a really, really good job with this in terms of making all these little details. I mean, apparently there's, like, I think it's on Peacock, there's a whole documentary just about how they made it. It's 45 minutes long, about how they made it, and there's all these little things that you wouldn't even notice probably 10 times watching it. These little things that they put in there, and they did such a good job, even just Elphaba's glasses. I want those glasses. Those are like the new Harry Potter glasses. Alright, maybe not that iconic, but they're cool. Because this version of Wicked, I can't remember, because it's been a long time since I saw the stage production, but at least for this movie, this version is kind of like what Wonka was for Willy Wonka last year. That's like this to the original Wizard of Oz and the original Wicked, where they sort of took Oz and Roald Dahled it. And I don't mean just in terms of its look and feel, but even down to things like the words that they use. Again, this is probably something that is in the stage production. This is going to be something I'm going to say a lot, but I can't really compare it that much because I don't remember too much. I know it was this movie generally is pretty faithful to the stage production, but there are some changes, which I'll get to in a second. One of the things I can't remember if it is or not is the word choices, because they'll do specific things like Roald Dahl does, where he'll take a word that is a word and just kind of mess with it a little bit. Like congratulations becomes congratulations, which I admittedly think is kind of a dumb one. Or pronounceify, things like that. And I thought that it just made it so much fun. And along with the visuals, obviously you have the music. The most gigantic part of this movie, there was even a band on singing in the theater because people knew that everyone was just going to be singing all the, belting out these huge notes. And it would have just been horrifying. There would have been so many people in this theater, myself included, who would not have been able to hit these notes. And it was a good call. However, there is going to be a sing-along version apparently coming out in December. So stay tuned for that and make sure to check that one out because that'll be pretty fun. Although again, it could be kind of horrifying. But I thought they did an incredible job with all the musical numbers, specifically the choreography, especially for one in the middle. Whichever one has the prince dancing in the library, which again, production design for the library was so cool. All of the musical numbers were great, and it's funny because it's one of the, I would say, closest things you could get of having a stage play in terms of like how a musical feels, translating into movies, because I honestly felt like they were expecting people to applaud after every number. After The Wizard and I definitely felt there was going to be some applause because that was the first big, end note of one of the songs. And it was like so drawn out and so like, it got so much oomph. I really expected people to clap. They didn't, and I was a little bit surprised actually. But, of course, going into this movie, the thing that everybody is waiting for, patiently, for 2 hours and 45 minutes, is Defying Gravity. The people who made this movie knew what they had up against them in terms of expectation. They knew that everyone was going to scrutinize how well this song was done. They also knew that they could milk it for as long as they wanted, and we wouldn't say a word. We'd be like, give me more. And that is exactly what happened. Guys, the finale of this movie is so good. I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm hyping it up. Maybe I just got in the moment. I don't know. But Defying Gravity was so well done because they took their time with it. They put the story into it. Everything visually, audio, everything about this song was just perfect. And they just did it so well. It just makes you smile. It gets you hyped up. Man, they did a good job. Now, aside from the technical aspects of this movie, all of which were just incredible and really take over everything, obviously you have the acting as well, which was really, really well done, specifically by Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Their chemistry was so good. Each of them played their respective roles amazingly. It seems like Ariana Grande would have more to do and be able to showcase hers more. So, like, at the beginning of the movie, the first half of the movie, everyone's going to be like, oh, Ariana Grande's really showing up Cynthia Erivo. But that's because she has more to do with the beginning half. And she's very, extroverted, and she gets to do all these motions and be really funny. Cynthia Erivo, being Elphaba, has to be a lot more grounded. But she gets the emotional weight later on in the movie. And both of them did such a good job. They were so good. And lastly, for the story, like I said, I don't remember specifically, but I'm fairly certain, like 99% sure, that there is one big thing that they either added or very much fleshed out from the production in the story that has to do with animals. And I genuinely couldn't remember if it was part of the stage play because it was so seamlessly put into the story. It just makes total sense. And like, if you do know the production really well, you might think it's a little bit thrown in. I'm not sure, just because there is like one big scene about it and then it's like brought up a little bit here and there, but it's tied back in the end of the movie. And I just think they did a really good job of the things that they changed, because I couldn't find anything where I was like, that felt really jarring. Okay, I have lots of little middles, a lot of nitpicks with this movie. I don't really have anything that was a low for me necessarily, just a lot of little things that I've either heard and can kind of agree with, or just little things that I'm just gonna bitch about. Here and there, some of the acting. Michelle Yeoh, just a couple of lines that were weirdly put over. Again, very nitpicky, but line reads a little bit weird at times. I didn't even really realize it until somebody mentioned it, and then I was like, you know what, I think I did subconsciously, like while I was watching the movie, be like, I don't know about that one. Also, Jeff Goldblum. I liked him a lot in this role. I think he was a good pick in terms of Oz is supposed to be a personality, and in this one specifically, he's supposed to have a lot of charm and also be a fake. Jeff Goldblum can do that really well. A lot of people aren't a huge fan because it's kind of, to them, like, oh, Jeff Goldblum in a role, and he's Jeff Goldbluming it up. I totally understand that. For me, it wasn't a huge deal, but I do get where people are coming from. Also, there were just a couple little details when they get to Emerald City, just a couple little things that I thought it was amazing. You could have pushed it over the line just a little bit more. You could have made it just that much better if you just had this thing and did that with that thing. You didn't even have to change it. Just again, I can't really say what they are, but I will say there are some moments of fan service. There wasn't a lot of it. There's two in particular. One that is, you either know it or you don't, but you can kind of tell that this is something big that they threw in there. And then there's another one that's so unbelievably on the nose. It's so small, I'm not even going to count it as like a bad thing, but it was just like, listen, I know what you're going for here. You can do that. You don't have to be so upfront about it. The way that they like wrote out the script for this one moment was like pure parody of what people think when they think of fan service moments, like looking into the camera. Like, it was so funny, and I was like, guys. Last thing is not a gripe I have, but something I just wanted to mention was a lot of people were talking about the length, and they're talking about how, oh, we're only going to settle for half a movie now, and I'm like, all right, first of all, this movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes, and this might be the fastest 2 hour and 40-minute movie I've ever seen. It felt just about like a regular movie length. Granted, the last like 20-25 minutes are Defying Gravity, and I'm there for all of it. But I didn't think the length was even that bad. As for the half a movie thing, I just want to ask those people, have you ever seen a movie series? Because that's what that is. So overall, I loved this movie. It was everything I wanted it to be. I'm so glad that there was a movie this year where I went, I think this is going to be good. And then, oh my god, it was! Why doesn't that happen anymore? They just did such a good job on every single front. It was fun. It was funny. It was emotional. The music was great. The visuals were great. Yeah, CGI at this point it looks a little too smooth, but that's kind of every movie now, so it's not like this movie in particular did anything wrong by having their CGI, and it was fine. I just thought that they did an amazing job. I'm so excited for part 2. I don't think it could top part 1, but it's going to have a lot of stuff in it that's like I'm really looking forward to as well. It was a really, really good time. I'm so excited to see it again. I'm going to give Wicked Part 1 a 4 out of 4, making it my next top shelf movie. Well, guys, let me know what you thought of Wicked Part 1. Let me know what you think of it in compared to things like the book, which I actually have never read, and I obviously have it, so it's kind of weird that I haven't read it, but, you know, classic bookkeeper, am I right? And let me know what you thought of it compared to the stage production. And as always, keep your stress low, your movies right in the middle, and your hopes defying gravity. I'll see you guys later.